right? All right, very good. So really quickly, I don't have my props here yet, but I'm going to start off by just letting you guys know my name is Abel De Leon. I originally came from good old California. Woo! Love California. All right, so originally born in Indio, California. If you guys don't know where that's at, that's in Palm Springs. You know where in India? You got something in common there.
Wow.
All right, very good. Not very people know where that's at. So, originally was born with a health condition that I had no control over. Had a 50-50 chance of living. My mom remembers me being in an incubator full of ice. Probably wasn't going to make it. Looked very purple. She didn't think I was going to make it. For some reason, I am here today. And I'm very fortunate to be here today. And ever since I heard that story, when I was probably around 6, 7 years old, when I somewhat comprehended things, I kind of get it. I figured out I'm here for a reason. I'm going to make something of myself because at the end of the day, God gave me the opportunity to be here. And I'm going to take advantage of that. And I'm going to talk about opportunity quite a bit as I speak today. But at the same time, I want you to reflect on yourself. That not that I've gone through a lot of stuff, or don't feel bad for what I'm about to tell you. I'm sure you've gone through a lot of different things that you're probably going to go through with me, and if not more. We're all here because we have a common relation that we've gone through struggles, and at the same time we have commonalities. But at the end of the day, we all should have the same goal, and that's to be successful. And each and every one of us in here has that ability to be successful. It's just looking deep inside in your heart, look through your struggles, and make those into a motivation. I used to love watching Michael Jordan as an example because he always said, anytime people don't believe in me, like his freshman year, or he didn't make the basketball team, or as a varsity basketball player, those were all logs. When people didn't believe on him, he had logs that would put into a fire. And that fire, when you put more logs into a fire, what happens to it? It grows, right? So your motivation should grow. Your passion should grow. And that's the way I approach life. Ever since I found out about that, I go at everything on 110%. And with that said, I eventually grew up. My parents had to leave India because it was super hot, you already know, over to Fresno, California, which is not much cooler, but they ended up going there because they had to work, and they followed their work path as well. So I grew up having to pick oranges, which I'll show you the proof in the pudding right now, that I still have as a little kid, my sack of when I grew up picking oranges, tomatoes on my birthday, picking grapes, olives, strawberries, you name it. I probably picked almost anything in terms of fruit that you can imagine them. It's all for $6.75 an hour in 110-degree weather. That's fun, right? With no benefits. So that means if you get sick, you get to suck it up. You don't get to go to the doctor and complain, oh, poor me, poor me. We didn't have that. But if you're Latino like me, we'll have all kinds of remedios, right? And if your tummy hurt, you get to go to the backyard, you get some mierda buena, and hopefully that fixes you up, right? That's all we had. And I'm not sitting here saying that it's okay to live like that. That's just what grew up. I didn't choose that. When I first figured out that I was poor, is whenever I used to have to migrate up north. So I was one of those migrant kids. You guys know those kids that get pulled out of school early? So that was me. I used to get pulled out of school early. Where I'm going with this is that I used to have to pick cherries even at a very young age. My brother, my dad even made even at 5, 6 years old, I was picking cherries. You guys know those 5, 4 buckets of ice cream? We made me eat all the ice cream and then we made a bucket out of it. Órale. You know, he's telling me, get down to the pick, right? So this is my proof in the pudding right here. I usually ask you guys, what is this for? And people will say, oh, that's to throw the newspapers, or I got to put trash in it. People don't really know what it is, right? But this is what I grew up doing. This is not fun stuff. I remember having to do this work, first time picking oranges. You get out the first day. The first time, a couple times, it's very light. As the day progresses, the hot sun hits you, and it gets heavier and heavier. I'll never forget the big brace of bread that I had, because I wasn't used to that type of work. But it was what I grew up to. I didn't choose this. But at the end of the day, what I'm here to tell you is that I grew up in a tough background. I grew up around drugs, violence. I could tell you a lot about growing up with a violent alcohol father. A lot of situations where I did not choose this, but it was something that I had to grow up and persevere through. It made me who I am today. I will not take away growing up that way because it made me who I am today. I am a strong individual. I'm very confident about myself, all because of the struggles that I went through. So I'll never switch that away from myself. And then, when I was 13, I can tell you a whole story and a half about how my father was violent, physically, verbally, in a whole bunch of different ways. The guy never learned how to tell me as a son. That really hurt me. And I can tell you a lot of different things about it. But at the end of the day, this guy, when I turned 13, You wanted to leave in the house. And being the oldest was the oldest in your family. You've got a lot of weight in your shoulders. You guys are the pioneers. You guys are going to be the ones that are going to set the tone in your family. Take that serious, because I took it serious. I eventually ended up having to help my mom work quite a bit, putting in for the finances. And at the same time, it taught me how to be very responsible. Back in the day, I remember saying life sucks. And I'm sure you probably say that yourself too. But think about the things that you're getting taught by all these things that suck. Eventually, I learned how to be very responsible. I learned how to be a leader. I knew how to be a father figure. Not only that, how many of you guys have to babysit? To always babysit. Changing diapers is fun, right? No, it's not when you get pee in your face, right? Anyways, that's what I kind of grew up having to do. At the end of the day, what I'm here to tell you is everything that you've been through, if you focus all your work ethic, things that you do, if not, if you don't have to work, maybe look at your parents. Look how hard they work. Your mom or your dad. If you don't have only one, maybe you don't have either one. You have a strong work ethic. Utilize it. Figure out what your passion is. Figure out what your drive is. What is your motivation? What is the tenacity that's going to keep you pushing forward, no matter what obstacles come at you? Because I grew up around a father, drugs, blah, 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 blah. I never said poor me. That's the difference between me and other students. But I said, you know what? I'm going to make this into a motivation. From a negative to a positive. Does that make sense? Because I had too many negatives, and luckily I found algebra. You have two negatives and it equals 8. All right. Very good. I emphasized everything at work ethic-wise, to make sure that I was going to get to college. Luckily, I made that happen. Long story short about college, I thought I was a top-notch student. Went in there. I failed all 3 of my midterms. But that right there and then taught me that failure was not an option for me. I had to learn how to work harder. So I started learning from students that are juniors and seniors how to have a better work ethic. And I eventually, gracias a Dios, thanks to the man above, I got my degree in business management. That piece of paper has opened the doors and has done everything for me. This is why I come here and I do what I do, because I want every single one of you to achieve that. That is going to make your life from doing that to achieving what you want. And what I mean by that is I eventually graduated from school, got a job as a salesman. I started at the bottom, because that's where I didn't know anybody that was at the top. That way I could get there. But at the end of the day, I had to work my way up. And at 24 years old, I was offered a position to work as, let's see if it's still in here, see if you guys can guess it. What do you guys think I used to do? Construction. I used to be a project manager. As a project manager, I was given 6 months to do this job, because they said, you are too inexperienced and you're too young. And luckily, the previous job that I had, I was the most inexperienced, and I was the youngest, but I was the best in the area. So within 6 months, I just said, you know what, I'm going to learn from the number 1 guy, number 2 guy, and the number 3 guy. I flew myself out to Texas. I flew myself out to San Bernardino, and I basically met up with the guy in Sacramento. Those were the number 1 guys, the number 2 guys in the company, and the number 3 guys in the company. I learned how they did their job, and this is what separates being good from being great. You learn how to do their job, how they do it, and then you learn how to do it better. That's a leader. You step up to the plate and learn how to do things better. Does that make sense? So within that, if you look at the chart that's up here, and I show these type of things not to be Mr. Show-Off or cocky or whatever you want to call it. I show these to inspire you, not to motivate you, that's temporary, to inspire you for the long term. 24 years old, the next closest guy that was my age group was 35 years old. So you can just imagine the age of guy. I shouldn't even be in that position, right? But I was given that position and given a chance. That's all I needed, give me a chance. Because I knew I was going to apply that work ethic and make sure that I was going to make something of myself. So if you look at that chart up there, go to the bottom part of it. I had 20 rookies that got in at the same time whenever I came in. And out of those 20 rookies, guess who was at the top? You see that name up there? That's me. Luckily, I was able to make that happen. I beat every single rookie across the country. I made over 9, if you look at it, I don't only just beat them, but I like to say I destroyed them. To get into beast mode. Right? And once you get into beast mode, you can learn how to become a leader and learn how to step up your game. And don't settle for satisfactory. Know in your mind that you can be the best. And approach life that way. I'm going to be the best. Walk it, talk it, eat it, sleep it, believe it. It takes confidence in yourself. And if you can do that, not only can you beat the rookies, but if you slide up, I beat every single veteran across the country. That's 250 project managers across the country. This little kid that used to have to babysit, go pick oranges, pick cherries, should be able to do that? Probably not, right? But I'm telling you right now, that you emphasize what you see your parents do. Whatever they do, if they have to clean houses, if they have to go work at Mickey D's, if they have to go, whatever it is. I don't care if you have a mom that's a teacher, maybe he's a lawyer, whatever it is. They work probably pretty hard to make sure that you have an okay life. And this is what I'm going to end it with in terms of opportunity. How many of you guys have ever crossed the border and seen kids selling chiclets across the street? All right. You think they have an opportunity? They live for that day so they can feed themselves for that day. Do you have to do that? No. Do I have to do that? No. I almost had to, but thankfully my mom gave me an opportunity. You have the exact same opportunity. It's going to be up to you to make it happen. And it's not going to be my choice. It's not going to be their choice. You got to want it. You got to want it more than anybody. Does that make sense? So at the end of the day, what I'm here to tell you today is why am I here? I used to be a project manager that used to make a lot of money. I don't make the same amount of money, but I love what I do. I used to do this because society told me that having a BMW living by the beach, got the wrong profit, it should have been this one, right? Living by the beach, it's not necessarily always happiness, because I used to have it that way. I used to have all the money that I wanted, to purchase whatever I wanted. Thankfully, God gave me the opportunity, but I was never satisfied. I was still not happy inside. It wasn't until some guy said, dude, you went from this to this, you need to go out and talk to students. I said, what the heck, let me go try it. So I did my Fridays, on my days off, and I started speaking to students. And I'm not lying to you, when I first walked in that first day, I had each and every person's attention. It's like I have your attention right now. They're not messing around, screwing around, it's like doing class. I realized I have a responsibility to go not only motivate students, but to inspire them to be their absolute best, to make sure that they believe in themselves. So what brings me here today, I resigned from that job to make sure that you guys are leaders, to make sure that you guys are going to be successful. And I'm willing to take a huge pay cut and do what I do, but at the end of the day, I seriously, just like Esmond, I guarantee you they do the exact same thing. I cannot wait to go to work. I love what I do. And I sincerely say that from the bottom of my heart. So from here on out, I want you to take that story that I just tell you. I'm sure you've gone through a lot, and if not more than I have, but pursue what it is that you want to do and go after with all your might. Capiche? All right, good job for paying attention. Thank you for being here.